One.
Today we often hear about child molesters and rapists being released after a short period of time. Ask yourself, should they be allowed to walk free ever again? I believe that all child molesters and rapists should spend life in prison. They not only take away a right of a human being, but they also ruin people's lives. As a result of such actions, victims could have psychological issues for the rest of their lives. Now, imagine if your innocence was stripped from you by another person against your own will. Statistics show approximately 150,000 adult sex offenders are currently in state and federal prisons throughout the United States. Between 10,000 and 20,000 are released to the community each year. Visualize your own child walking down the street and coming in contact with a child molester or rapist, thinking that they are a normal person when in reality they are disturbed individuals. Our children will never be safe as long as child molesters and rapists are allowed on the streets. One of my biggest reasons why I believe child molesters and rapists should spend life in prison is because of the child's emotional state after the incident. It has been stated that after a traumatic experience, such as rape or an assault, it is common for a survivor to feel shaken or unlike him or herself. It is a complex form of trauma that breaches the physical, mental, and spiritual trust of a person against their will. This can affect a person's mentality, especially during youth, when the brain is highly elastic during its formative years. It is not fair for a child to have to experience this kind of emotional state and for them to wonder if the child molester or rapist will hurt them or another child again. About 12 to 24% of sex offenders will reoffend. Do you really want to risk the safety of a child by keeping them out of prison and enabling them to interact with others on a daily basis? People argue that not every sex offender will reoffend, and that is true. Professionals do scientific tests on offenders to see their likelihood of offending again, but they are not guaranteed. I personally know someone who has been put in a situation like this. I know about a stepdad who had sexually assaulted two young stepdaughters and was only sentenced to 5 years. After 2 years of being out of prison, he reoffended and raped a 13-year-old girl. He is currently out and living a normal life. One of the girls slept with a cast iron skillet under her pillow for 3 months after he got out, scared that he will come back and kill her for telling. The other girl is now addicted to drugs and has a mental illness and is currently emotionally unstable. She has been in and out of mental hospitals and surrounds herself with nothing but bad influences, which harms her chances of recovering. She was not only affected by this situation, the mother of the two girls got severely depressed and suffered with it for years. She blamed herself the entire time and pretty much gave up on life. A few years later, she decided she could not live with the guilt anymore and committed suicide. Another experience that I am aware of is a little girl who got molested at age 5, and it was by her dad. He went to prison, but only for a few short years as well. At age 13, she was then raped by her uncle and never told the police because she felt there was no point. He would just get out in a few years and be back to his everyday life. She didn't come clean that anything had ever happened to her until she was 17 years old. She had to undergo intense counseling and is now on medication to help with her depression. My stepmom was also molested by her older brother at a young age. He also only spent a few years in prison. He got out at age 21, and we just recently found out that the past 6 years he had been raping his own child. In his mind, he got away with it once, he can get away with it again. He has caused her to feel incredibly low about herself, and she shuts people out. She is just now getting back to where she is associating with her friends and family, but she still has a long way to go. Those girls will never fully recover from their life experiences. They will be scared and have constant flashbacks of their past. One of them will probably never live a normal life again without a lifetime of therapy and treatment. They live each day with the thought of it happening again, scared that the perpetrator could come back and assault them again or even physically abuse them, the ones who came forward the first time. Some people may argue that the perpetrator never committed the crime and will spend life in prison for no reason. Well, we now have technologies that can help with making sure the right person gets convicted. There is a lie detector test that determines whether the individual is telling the truth or lying about the matter at hand. We also have rape kits, which consist of a DNA testing that can help catch the perpetrator. A DNA testing provides a blueprint for investigators to locate the culprit who committed the crime. We must trust our law officials to track down and find whoever the criminal is to be the correct one, and for our jury and judge to decide that he or she is indeed guilty. These examples indicate that it just goes to show why every child molester and child rapist deserve to spend their entire lives behind bars and to never see the light of day again. Each example I gave showed the psychological damage each person endured. They will never have their childhood back and will forever remember those painful memories they encountered. So those of you who think that life in prison is too harsh, I would like for you to think about all the children who will never get their life back to normal and explain as to why child molesters and rapists should deserve to have their life back. Thank you.